come on in. It is happy hour. I'm going to show you a very, very easy design and some glass art. I just cut my glass just right before I went live, and we're going to work our design around that. This is my multi-purpose sealer I'm putting on. It's from Deco Art, and I use it on my wood. I am going to dry this. So that's what we're going to work with today. I'm super excited to do this. I love coneflowers. I love painting them. My thought was, I'll paint this for you guys who only want to paint, but then I'm going to put the glass on for people like me. So, and anybody else who wants to see how to do easy glass, on your paintings. I always use junk mail for my palettes now. So, and I'm getting my paintbrush wet. I'm dipping it off on the sides. And we're going to go in with our sky first and do lots of white with the sky on here. So just a little mixture of my blue and my white for our sky. Isn't it pretty? This is one of the new ones from Deco Art, and I'm using it a lot. It's Grecian Blue is the name of it. Okay, so I'm just kind of taking some more white and getting a little bit more of a sky look here by adding a few streaks. So I'm just I've got a little bit of blue and mostly white, and I'm just adding some streaks like you sometimes see in the sky. I was thinking about how sometimes I'll see somebody post a sky that is so stunning, and we know that cameras can't really capture it, like you're only getting a little bit of what that person is seeing, but so there's a simple sky with two colors anybody can do. And if you've tried to paint before and you haven't had good luck, I recommend trying these carefree paintings, as I call them. I always say whimsical, because it's extremely forgiving. I teach them step by step, and they just don't have to be perfect. So we're going to use the same brush we've been using. It's a 11 flat, and work that green in. As we'll work a little of our citron, and we're just going to make some up and down grass-like motion here and just kind of get a background going. This will definitely take 2 coats, but just to start, just get it like so. But this is what I mean about easy, forgiving, but you'll have a really pretty painting when you're done. This is a stress-free painting. This is something you can do and not stress over it. And then when you're ready, you can graduate to fine painting if you choose to. This is my alley. I like staying in my lane and doing this type of painting because it's so relaxing. There is no stress. There's no, you don't feel like you have to be perfect. And I'm trying to teach my ladies to quit chasing perfection, because it'll never come. Nothing's perfect. And just when you think somebody or something's perfect, you find a flaw. So, you just have fun with it and let it relax you. Now, I'm going to dry that. I think I'm going to put a little bit more coverage down here. Really doing my green first. And I'll come back and put some citron on top for this next layer here. So just same brush and just come right back on top. And look how pretty and blended it gets. And another thing, if you feel like you got too much, like a big swipe, all you have to do is take that brush, I kind of swiped it off, and then come back and go back over it, or put some darker green in, and voila, it's fixed. Now we can dry. Okay, I'm going to show you what you can do. If you don't want to do any more, you can just get an art kit. A lot of times I'll put these together, and then all you're doing is putting them together and adding resin. But you could just put down your glass, and then slide in your stem. And then I did cut a couple of leaves out of this other vase I had that had texture. And you could be done. You could write a Bible verse across the top, or, you know, if the person has a favorite phrase, if it's for Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day, and you could be done. Literally, that's how simple it could be. But we're going to go ahead and paint. So okay, there we go. Now let's grab some paints. Okay, let's grab a round brush. Oh, it's worn off, but I believe that this one is about a 4. But yeah, it's all worn off. I dipped it or wiped it on a paper towel. And I'm going to grab a little fuchsia, royal fuchsia, and a little white, and mix up a soft pink, and just kind of do these petals. Now, I'll have to erase some of my chalk because I know I've gotten the chalk, you know, it's too wide. But we're just going to do some simple little petals. You're letting your brush do the work. I hope this is the right size. While that is drying, I'm going to do that yellow. Let's take a little white over here and our yellow. This is just cadmium yellow. And we're going to do our little cone part. I actually like the cone part to be a little wonky. So see how we've got a little shorter here and a little bigger up here. Whenever I paint them, I usually do something like that just because they're not perfect. But this one, let's try to somewhat, I probably went way too high over here. We'll try to somewhat match my glass. And then I'm going to tap a little orange. This is mango. Isn't that the prettiest color? Fresh mango. I have this down here for the darkest part, or our shaded part. And we've got our light part here. I'm going to add a little more white to a little bit of this. And that up here. And then our straight cadmium yellow in the middle. And we'll let that dry. Now I'm going to take what's on my brush and just swipe. You'll see that? And it adds so much fun to your painting. I'm not cleaning the brush, going right into my white and kind of getting a lot of that paint off. And a little bit of that. I'm going to go into my mango. You guys know I like color. It makes me happy. And so that's why I do fun things like this. Just, it's kind of surprising, you know, you don't expect it, and it's a pop of fun. I'm going into my fuchsia and adding some of that. And then before you know it, you're like, oh, isn't that cute? You know, it just makes you happy to see it. Or it does me. You can certainly paint yours in just one color or a couple of colors or whatever you want to do. But this is just fun. You know, I think we need to learn to let loose and have fun and not be so particular all the time about everything. But, you know, with our art, just have some fun with it. Even if it's just in a journal book, you know, you're not going to do anything with it other than just have fun with the color. Okay, let's see what it needs. I just take a look at it and see what I think it needs. At this point, it's still wet, so we'll kind of let our colors start blending more. That's going to need a little white. We're going to put down a little bit of white with our colors and go back over that because I kind of washed some away. But let's see what it's going to look like when we put our glass. But see how you can still see some of the fun color below? So that's what I was hoping, is that it would be still visible. You can either have a pretty painting or go on and do glass and have a little extra, you know. I'm going to mix up a little more light pink. That light pink is really doing it for me. I love the light pink today. Going back with little bits of mango. Since I'm using glass, I am going to do this and have lots of color showing so that it will show underneath. But again, you know, you could just do the light pink and a little bit of white or purple, any color you choose. I always say that work in layers with acrylics, it will really make your paintings a lot more dimensional, and you can even get some texture in there by pouncing your brush. I really don't need to worry too much about this because it is going to be covered, but a little bit of pink on my brush and that is just fine. See how it kind of blends in, and if you just kind of pounce over it a little bit, it just blends in, and I like that. Tap down in my white so it has the lightest portion will be here at the top where the sun would be hitting it. Let's do our leaves. Just not too worried about these since we're going to cover them up. But I like to have a couple of colors to blend, and adding a little white to the mix here for a little highlight. Now we're going to get our chalk off. I think on mine I'm not going to paint it. I think all you have to do is take a liner brush and just take some green and do this, and that's it. That's all you have to do. But I think for me, I'm going to just put my stem down with no painting under it because it's going to be way too hard to try to match that. Okay, let's do some resin. We've got our stuff for our resin. When you're going to do resin, wear gloves and have your supplies ready. And I use art resin. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So if I use 1 ounce of this, I'm going to use 1 ounce of this. Probably need more. Let me actually use all of this first. Put on your gloves. Another little tip you might do and get in the habit of doing is putting a mark on your bottle, on your cup, so you can see the line. These are so hard to see that unless I put a little line, it's just almost impossible. So I'm going to put one there and one there, and we're going to do 3 ounces. So I'm going to do 1.5 ounces of each, and I think that will be fine. It's pretty small, so let's see what we have in here. So once I get it as much out as I can, now be sure hardener, and the lids should be the same color, white, and then you can just fill your bottle. So we're going to do enough to get up to the 1 ounce, and I go right up to that line and then transfer it over to the larger cup. Get right up to the mark, which is at the 1/2 ounce mark there. Put the lid on your bottle and then you put it far away. So I'm going to put this way across my desk, and that way if the dog bursts in, I know which one I poured, because I can't trust my memory to say, oh, it was, if they're both sitting here, I won't remember. Or I might think it was this one, but it might have been the other one. So if you'll get in the habit of, as soon as you pour one, putting the bottle far away, it will come to help you someday, because it did me. I've poured 2 of the same, and the next day when I came to check on it, it was just a soupy mess. So nothing will happen. So now I'm in the habit of doing that, and I do it every time. Maybe that will help somebody. Now, I use my resin fast, but if you don't, you would want to date the day you're pouring this in here, and you're dating the large gallon bottle also. Art resin is good for about a year, so you know, you don't want to buy it thinking, oh, I'll have the next 5 years to use it. So if you're not going to use a lot like me, you probably don't need a big gallon bottle. And then we're going to quickly do another 1/2 ounce. So now we've got 3 ounces total in here, and we're going to stir it. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Now every so often scrape your stick and get that worked back down, and scrape the sides of your cup and the bottom of your cup, but go slow. Take your time with it. Slow and easy is better by far. You won't have near as many bubbles and micro bubbles, because you can't see micro bubbles. So now we can move that and be sure we've got our design how we want it. I always take like a large clean brush of some type and do this. And just be sure there's no little dust particles that have landed on it or anything like that. So get it good and cleaned off. Now, if you're new to resin, you want to turn it over and you want to tape the back of this with painter's tape. And I don't need to do that, but I highly recommend it when you're new, because even still with me, I can still have runoff. And so you just come right up to the edge and put your tape down, get it down, and then that way, if the resin runs over my edge, it's going to hang right here. It'll just kind of have a few drips right here on the back. So in the morning, I could come in here and peel this off, and every now and then you'll have to warm it up with your heat gun or a hairdryer just slightly, and then peel it off, and it'll peel right off with those resin drips. I'm going to put down some resin to begin with. I think I have way too much resin, to be honest. Art Resin has a calculator on their website, but I don't use this size very much, so I couldn't remember what I should be doing as far as amount. But they've got a calculator, and you just plug in like 8 by 8 or 8 by 10, 16 by 20, whatever you're doing, and it'll tell you how many ounces of resin you need. It is self-leveling, so it will level, but you need to do your part. You know, don't just pour it in the middle and go, well, self-leveling. You know, you still need to bring it to the edges. And then from there, it will continue to just kind of flatten out. I always will say this is great for beginners. And this one is. The painting is easy. The resin part is super easy. But I'll always try to put beginner project or perfect for beginners on my videos. Notice how I'm just bringing it to the edge. So Pam was talking about, does it just run over your table? So I have been doing this so long that I can bring it to the edge and it won't go over. But yes, at first, yes, it will run over your edges and go on your table. So you do need your table protected. And I recommend either plastic, like a trash bag opened up, that you just lay on your table, or you can obviously buy things that will protect your table, but anything plastic that it won't go through if it's on your table, that's perfect. So now we've got a nice thin layer all over our entire project. I'm going to take my little butane torch, and it's got a low and a high. I'm going to turn it about to the medium, and that's for the flame. So it'll come out short or it'll come out long. So I want it around medium, short to medium. And then just turn it to the on position, and we are ready to pop those bubbles. That's how I'm not sitting it in one spot too long. and you can just stop there. If you have painted on your stem, then you don't even have to keep going, because that is gorgeous. Just having the glass-like finish on it that resin gives. We'll use that torch a few times. I always, do it now to pop what I can see, and then I'll do it again once I get all my glass down. And then about every 15 minutes, I will check it, and if any bubbles have risen, you can go back and pop those. We'll add some more resin to this in just a minute. That's a good base to start with. So let's put our stem, and I always have like this is one of those things from the Dollar Tree, probably for a Cricut machine, but I always use mine for this, just to move things around. You can have toothpicks handy. I always have a toothpick available. And then just start putting down your pieces. And then at this point, I take some resin and just go over my petals. It's your choice if you want to cover everything, but I do because it just gives it a glassy finish. But you don't have to do this part if you don't want to. As long as your glass items are touching resin, they won't budge once it's cured. So going over it with resin is just to give it an extra little shine. And we're going to pop again. I always will hold it up to the light and see if I see anything. Sometimes with the light on it, you can see like a little tiny particle or something like that. I will continue to kind of babysit this. Like I said, I will put this on a level surface. You definitely need a level. Go to the Dollar Tree if you don't have one and get a level. That's where I got mine. And then I cover it with a plastic tub. So, something that you could use as a storage container, but I've taken the lid off and just use that to cover. Okay, let's see. Y'all see pretty good? And that's it. With all my talking and chatter, we did this in an hour. You know what I mean? This was very easy, but you're going to have a really pretty little painting and glass art. So I hope y'all enjoyed. If you want to learn more about painting and glass art, you can go to my website. Bye, guys.